you might want to brush your some shit on
cashmere.
there. It's sort of on your shoulder.
Oh.
That's better.
Is that good?
Yep, that's better.
Okay, thank you. You've very got an eye for detail.
Yeah. I work in TV.
You could work at the men's section at David Jones.
I work at the men's section of David Jones.
That's a bit slutty for a woman, I think.
Goodness. All right.
And on that note,
welcome. This is Unserious, where we unpack the week's biggest stories, the smallest controversies, and the topics that are dominating your and our group chats. You can expect smart conversations, dumb arguments, and always immaculate vibes. I am Liz Burke. I'm the deputy editor at news.com.au. To my left, we have news.com.au reporter, queen of pop culture, vision in red, Mary Madigan. To my right, political commentator and bespectacled provocateur, Caleb Bond. You two, I would say, are easily two of the most outspoken young voices in Australian media.
there you go.
Would we
That's a
agree?
statement, isn't it?
I quite like that.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah.
But I think where it gets interesting is you're often coming at a lot of topics from completely opposite directions, completely existing on different ends of the political
I
spectrum.
rescue greyhounds, he races them.
Yeah, correct. Well, you say rescue, I say no, they get adopted out. But anyway, we can talk
You
about that
say employ
later.
greyhounds.
Yes, that's I employ them. I keep them in a
Yes.
job.
Yes,
Exactly.
of course.
So I've introduced you guys to our lovely audience, but you guys don't need an introduction, right? You know each other. I saw you arguing recently over some topics on our great Aussie debate.
Show of hands, who agrees that women should be entitled to paid period leave from work?
Oh, absolutely.
2 out of 3. Caleb, your hand's not up. Why not?
Put a little hand up. Put a little paw in the air.
No, well, look, it's hard enough running a business as it is. You get 10 days of sick leave and 4 weeks of annual. You want to add another 12 days in? It seems ridiculous to me.
Mary, your comments on that?
You're being sexist and you've upset me.
Well, there you go.
Oh,
yes, indeed.
yeah. Period leave. You hate period leave.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Hate it.
But
Terrible.
we get on at the same time, I think.
Exactly.
But you obviously don't want me to have rights. But
Oh, look,
we don't dwell.
some people get rights and others don't. You specifically, Mary, unfortunately. But,
And that's equality in a nutshell, isn't it? All right, well, we've got plenty of other things to debate. First thing I want to get into is, what I think is generally expected to be one of the most boring nights of the year, but this year, somehow, it has just been all that anyone will talk about for the past week, the federal budget. Albo kind of seemed to design this budget to appeal to Gen Z, but did it work? Did they notice? Mary, I know you took this question to the people.
Yeah, I think he definitely designed it to try and appeal to young voters. And then I always think the perfect temperature test of that is to go down and speak to young voters. So I went down to the local University of Technology, which is just down from where we are in Holt Street. And none of the young people even knew what the budget was in the budget.
What is the budget?
The federal budget.
Oh. I was like, is this a TV show, the budget?
Did you see the federal budget last night?
No, I haven't.
Are you excited about the budget or do you care?
No,
I did not.
Do you know what's in it now?
Not at all.
One of them genuinely was like, is that a TV show, the budget? And I was like, no, it's not a television show.
Well, it's on a TV on Tuesday night at 7:30.
She
once
thought
a
I
year,
was like
but-
talking about a hot new soap, and I was like,
Oh, wow.
no.
Can you imagine the hot new soap? Jim Chalmers and Anthony Albanese delivering the budget.
I find Jim Chalmers kind of hot.
Well,
I
mean,
watched it. It was not hot.
I'll leave that to you. but
That's
anyway.
no, I just think we could be a power couple. Anyway, that's a whole other issue. But I think again, if that's who he's targeting, they're not listening. I teach a class at university, and I sort of said to them, like, just out of interest, I was like, how many of you think you're going to own a home? And none of them put their hands up. And I said, oh, well, did the budget change how you felt? And they were like, what budget again?
Yeah.
So I don't think I've spoken to a young person that's feeling energized by the budget.
No, well, I don't think those who are not engaged in politics haven't picked up on it, so the message hasn't got through to them.
Yeah.
And I reckon young people who are engaged in politics have kind of looked at it and gone, really? Like, that's not going to do anything for me. I mean, you look at the social media response. It's been really interesting, particularly from younger small business owners, millennial more so than Gen Z. But these are people who've gone, well, I probably won't be able to buy a home first up, so I'm going to invest my money somewhere else. So I'll go and start a little business, or I'll put it in the share market or something like that. And they're the people who are now going to be stuffed by changes to capital gains tax, right? So you've got all these boomers and whatever, Albo and although I suppose Jim doesn't qualify as a boomer. He'd be, 40s, 50s, somewhere
I think
around
he's a Gen
there.
Xer.
But yeah, that'd be right. But
Yeah.
you've got essentially older
My
people
boyfriend Jim is a Gen Xer.
pulling the ladder up behind them
Yeah.
and saying, well, we bought our properties and use negative gearing and we'll keep using negative gearing. But as a young person,
You don't get that
You
benefit.
don't get the benefit.
Is there a problem with like financial literacy as well? Like if people aren't listening, the people who these policies are going to affect, if they're not listening, then is there a problem with that they don't realize it's important or they don't understand?
I think it's confusing. I think a lot of people, even in our newsroom when the negative gearing stuff came out,
Yeah.
like people quietly said to me, hey, like, what's negative
is it?
gearing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
It's hard to explain too.
And it is hard to explain. And it is like a 3-minute conversation to
Yeah.
explain, right? So in terms of political messaging, your political message needs to be very, very simple.
Yeah.
You're losing people. Like, that's why I think budget rules genuinely need to be simple. Like, you're going to get $2,000 back at tax time.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. There might
Yeah.
be a longer message, but a simple, synchronized response, so much better, right?
But see, financial literacy is probably part of it. But I think also there's been a big change in the way young people spend because they've decided before they've even hit go on the monopoly board that they're not going to buy a house.
Yeah.
They've just figured, well, that's not in the equation anymore. So I'll do something else
They're
with my
also
money.
being
So I
told
might
that.
spend it on, correct. But they might go, well, geez, why bother saving $50K for a house? I'm never going to buy one. I'll travel instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'll spend it on something else. So that they're almost starting from, 10 steps behind the 8 ball before they've even started. I think part of the problem now, and some people would argue, federal government probably argue it's a good thing, is that young people have less responsibility than they used to because they sort of start their adult life, as it were, a lot later than they used to.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
you
true.
go back, only have to go back 3 odd generations, and it wasn't unusual that at 14 you'd be leaving school and you had to go and get a job to
Okay,
help
well, I
support
don't think
your
we
family.
need to enslave them.
No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is what that did, though, was give you a level of responsibility really early.
Yes.
And it meant you had to get started working that stuff out a lot earlier. Whereas now, you might stay at home with your parents until you're about 30. You might not be looking at getting a job until you're 25 or 26, let alone when you're going to think about starting a family.
There's a
so all of
prolonged
that
adolescence.
so all of
Yeah.
that starts a lot later. So you get into the market a lot later. You're thinking about it a lot later.
If you can get in the market, because that's something that we've been talking about this week, right? And Mary, you very bravely came
Yeah,
out
people
with
keep calling
your
me
story
brave. I
this
like
week
that.
of how you got into the property market.
Yeah, first of all, I thought it was really interesting that everyone called me brave. I was like, okay, I'll take it. But yeah, so I just wrote about the fact that my boyfriend and I bought an apartment last year, and it was still, tough is probably not the right word, but it took us 8 months to find something within our budget, and our budget was under 1.1 million, which sounds like a lot of money, but it's not in
Yeah.
the Sydney market. Like I was saying before, the median price is 1.5 million. We were obviously looking at apartments, so I think the median price for apartments is around 900,000, but we wanted 2-bedroom apartment, which should be and close to the CBD. I will say that again, but it shouldn't be a crazy dream. And it took us a long time to find something, and we moved back in with his mum during that time to not necessarily even. I guess yes to save, but also just so we could be set up to kind of go when we wanted to. And the reason we could do it is because he had inherited wealth. It's like quite a sad reason he inherited wealth. His dad passed away when he was quite young, and he was left a sum of money, and that's what we used to buy. But I think why I was writing about it was because without that, cash injection, we both work full time, we both earn decent wages. We definitely go out and have drinks and see our friends and have brunches and do sort of different things. But even without all of that, we would have had no chance of buying a home. And what I found really interesting was when I started to say to people, and I think perhaps it was easier for me to say, because for me, I just assumed I'd be a kind of a lifetime renter. Then I met my partner. He happened to have this kind of money, and we bought. So it was kind of weird. Like you almost feel like a trader. You're like you went from being one section to another. And I reckon there was real friction between some of my friends and I, where I went from probably being one of the quote unquote poorer ones to suddenly being more set up financially pretty quickly. And that was a really weird dynamic change. But
They didn't like it.
I think it's just awkward. I think when you're in established dynamics, people are like, oh, well, Mary's like that. No, what do you mean? I went from sort of I'd be the financially responsible friend that would be like have a bit of debt and be running around, and then suddenly I was like, no, we're in position to buy. Like people don't like when you move around in
Tall poppy
rankings.
syndrome.
Yeah, I guess that's part of it. But I was very open with being like, oh, this is how we did it. And it's interesting because my boyfriend always says to me, I wrote the article, but he's always like, we don't owe anyone an explanation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I know, but I just didn't want anyone in a similar position to leave the conversation and be like, oh, well, we're earning similar wages to Mary and Seamus. Like, why can't we get ahead? And for us, truly, the only way for us to buy in Sydney with a joint income that we have, which is, would be definitely in that medium joint income kind of thing, we couldn't have afforded to buy. And I think what's interesting is when you say it, or when I started saying it, so many more people be like, oh, yeah. So our parents actually gave us, $100,000 or, yeah, my dad went guarantor. It like opened up this conversation of like how people don't come forward with it. But once you say it, they'll suddenly admit
Why
it.
are people scared to admit that? I don't see the issue with intergenerational wealth, inherited wealth.
You wouldn't. You'd be thriving on that structure.
Well, look, I'm not. I'm not much coming towards me. I got to tell you,
but you would be into it. I reckon.
But I don't see the problem with it. I mean, it's the easiest way into the market for a lot of people.
Because it's an unfair advantage.
Yeah, but life is unfair.
Yes, absolutely.
And the reality is that all of these properties that the government would presumably like to devalue are probably going to end up in the hands of the kids of those people anyway. And so again, if the idea is to devalue the property, you're not disadvantaging the young people again. Like I think to take the wealth away is wrong.
It's we've got a leg up that we didn't quote unquote work hard, and that was kind of the point of my article. Like we work hard, but that was never going to get us a home, and so we have this leg up. And I have some friends who are more successful in their careers, who make more money, but they don't have that financial leg up, and so they feel really disadvantaged. So, and I agree, like life is not fair, but I think it can be. Look, and I totally get this. I'm a nepo baby by proxy. It's pretty hard to feel bad for a nepo baby. You try and tell someone at a new townhouse party that you're like bought because your boyfriend's mum gave you a bit of money. Like people.
Yeah, but I don't think you should feel bad about it though. That's just the circumstance.
I know, but like if that happened to you, it'd be very on brand for you. It's very off. It's very off.
You
brand
say be on brand for me. You don't know about my parents.
No, but like if you said, people are like that makes sense. For me, it was very off brand to become a homeowner.
Ah, well, get over it. Like, and everyone else should get over it too. Like, I get that not everyone's going to have that opportunity, but not everyone gets every opportunity in life. And if the thing that gets you on the ladder is the bank of mum and dad, well, go for it, I reckon.
I think what's disappointing about it is that it seems like it's kind of getting to a point where that's almost the only avenue.
Yes.
So you're kind of born to be a homeowner or not. And that's kind of been the whole point of like the great Australian dream, right? Like you come to this country, like everyone's equal, you can work hard, you can get a job, you can save your money, and then you can buy a house. But now it's like, oh no, actually you can't. And people are buying houses, but unless you're like really interrogating and having those conversations, you're not going to find out that probably, they got this many $1,000s from their grandparents, this many $1,000s from their parents, like they inherited, however much in a will. I think it's a bit sad.
Well, yeah, but I also think, like, full disclaimer, like, we have a massive mortgage still. And I often say the fact that we had this advantage, and we're still pretty anxious about rate rises, and we're still definitely paying more than 30% of our wages onto mortgages. So even us, the nepo babies, are like, the housing crisis is still tough to navigate.
Doesn't that officially mean you're in, like, below the poverty line? Don't they say that
yes, I'm living below the poverty line.
If you spend more than 35% or something of your income on...
Yes. But it's very off-brand.
But if more than, isn't it like 30 or 35% of your income? If more than that goes to putting a roof over your head, you're like officially in poverty or something.
And who isn't?
Which is crazy, right?
But I don't know anyone that isn't paying, at least in Sydney, and I would say Melbourne's the same, paying more than 35%. Like, how much of your wage goes to your rent?
Well, it wouldn't be that much. I mean, I've got a one-bed place.
10% of your wage.
No, I wouldn't know.
We'll
Not 10%.
5%.
It'd probably be roughly a quarter.
Will this be the episode where we reveal Caleb's
salary?
No,
that's the objective.
My main question.
Good luck. Good luck with that. No,
how much Caleb earns.
Probably a quarter would go.
And what's
what's
your rent?
Well, I'm not going to tell you that because then you'll start calculating what my pay is.
And just your BSB
account number.
I'll give it to you if you send me money. That's okay.
The CVC on the back of your card.
That's right. But here's a question though.
Okay.
Do you think that it is wrong for parents who are in a position to help their kids get into the market to say, no, you've got to go and do it on your own?
No, because I think it's different. I think it's really different. Like, I think the formula is pretty the same. I remember my sister, when we were in high school, she wanted to set up for a car, and my parents said, we'll match it. And the reason they decided to match it was because they wanted her to be able to afford a safer car, and she couldn't if she saved up, right? But because she saved up half the funds, she like treasured that car. The car mattered to her. It was important to her. They didn't just go out and buy her a car, and then you don't understand the value of it. And I think if you're giving your kids just a leg up in the property market, and they're still dealing with mortgages and rates, or in my case, strata freeze, like you're not giving them everything. I think I think if you buy your kid an entire house, they have no mortgage, I think it's probably hard to appreciate.
But if mum and dad turn around and say, "No, we're not contributing at all. You got to sort it out," but they have the means to contribute.
I think that's a bit nasty of them.
Yeah. And this is the thing now, right? Because then you're almost deliberately disadvantaging your kid and saying, "Well, you don't get the opportunity that I have."
I think that's actually psychotic. As
Yeah, go on.
Just as like having become a parent, I think when you become a parent, especially in this kind of, in this economy where you realize that people are so dependent on, I guess what we're calling generational wealth, but just, it's so hard to get ahead. I think if you're a parent and you're earning money and you have money, like what's that for if not for your family?
Can two things be true at once? One is that kids shouldn't expect anything from their parents. I've never asked for anything. I've never been given anything.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't
but
want.
if your parents don't give you something, they're psychotic.
I think you can
column A,
you can teach a lesson. That's fine. But I think that parents can also just not be jerks.
Well, there's because about the ski holidays, right? Spending the kids' inheritance.
Yeah.
Which is like, boomers go and just blow all the money and enjoy the last 20 years of their life or whatever. Which part of me goes, well, you probably should enjoy the last 20 years of your life. But is there a responsibility for you to pass on the wealth to your kids?
I think some.
I think within reason.
I don't think you owe kids like all
also,
of your...
it probably depends on the kid.
Yeah.
Like, I also think you can't have your hand out and like
there are
not...
some terrible children out
And
there.
call your mum on Mother's
that's
Day.
why you have discretionary testamentary trusts, so you control the money, which the government now wants 30% of.
How long have you been waiting to get that line out?
Death taxes, they're coming. They're coming for you.
Oh, you would set up a trust in a heartbeat. Do you have a trust already?
I did for a while.
You would,
Only
just to
for
say
a
you had a
business-
bloody trust.
No, for a business structure I was involved in, but
with
but
the
I don't have one
greyhounds?
now. No, not with the greyhounds. No.
Okay, all right.
No, that's for the ATO. If they're listening, I am a hobbyist when it comes to racing. I don't do it to make money.
Nice.
Otherwise, everyone would
All
pay
right.
tax.
Look, I think there's one more thing that kind of we heard in not only in response to this story, Mary, but just when people are talking about their finances, housing. I think it's kind of led to a bit of a trend of couples moving in, trying to save money that way and get in on the property ladder when they maybe are not even ready to. We've just had a bit of feedback about, I guess, people moving in as a financial decision. Is it a good idea? Do either of you have any experience in this area?
Yeah, Caleb, how quickly have you moved in with a girlfriend before?
Very
wanna
quickly.
Very quickly. How quickly?
Like within a couple of months.
Oh, wow.
And was it a financial decision?
No. We were sort of thrown together by COVID.
Oh,
Lockdown happened.
Well, it didn't end well.
The relationship isn't still going. But
COVID rarely
anyway,
does.
But the lockdown came along, and then it was sort of because she was living in Sydney, I was living in Adelaide, and I came up. Remember, it was like 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Yeah.
And so it was like, 2 weeks, we'll all be back to normal.
We were all just going to work from home.
So I got permission from the boss to go to Sydney. I drove. I didn't go on a plane because at the time it was like, I might die. But drove over the hay plane from Adelaide to Sydney, and then they locked the border. And so I was stuck in Sydney for like 3 months.
You big hostage vibes.
Yeah, exactly. So we went from like living in separate states to literally 24/7 because you couldn't go to an office or anything.
How was that?
Romantic.
It wasn't too bad, really. It's a good way to work out whether there's any legs in a relationship.
You did break up shortly afterwards.
No, 3 years later,
not
3.5 years
shortly.
later.
Look, I definitely moved in with my boyfriend for financial reasons. Dare I say? There you go.
Right.
So
So you
because he's a
wouldn't
nepo
have.
baby. Like, we've made that very
yeah,
clear.
no, because he's never baby and I wanted
So
his
you
money.
were just like, I want the money. Otherwise, you wouldn't have moved in.
No. He was living in a share house with like 4 men and 1 girl, and I used to call it the Snow White house, which was amusing of me. And I think they know that. I think that's fine to say. Anyway, so he's
Had
living
you
in.
worked out which was each dwarf or not?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, one had like a reptile. I didn't like that at
Yeah,
all.
that's a bit weird.
Yeah, no. I didn't like that at all. Anyway, and that was awful because we'd like go there and then he used to have like a pet snake and it would go missing and we'd all have to like panic.
Ooh.
It was very much a boy house. And then I had like a little 1-bedroom in Surrey Hills back when you could rent a 1-bedroom for under $500 a week. And my lease was coming up. His lease was coming up. And it was kind of one of those things where like, okay, well, do we wait another year to move in together? Or should we just move in now? And it was pretty much a financial thing. Also, it was around the pandemic. So I think there was also part of it was like, oh, if we go into a lockdown, that's going to be dead money kind of thing if he's paying rent in a share house and then staying at mine. And so we moved in together. I mean, it worked out, but I also think it's a little bit sad because it probably would have been perfectly fun to date longer because you very quickly get into domestic life, which can be lovely, but it is kind of like, did you end up going to the grocery store? We're out of toilet paper. You know, like it just becomes quite mundane and you kind of miss the excitement of dating. And I know a lot of my mates have done similar things. They've moved into with people purely because it just becomes very quickly financially difficult to stay single in Sydney. And I think the problem with that is that I reckon dating I think it's gone from like, dating is gone now, it's just cohabitating basically.
But what's wrong with that?
I just think it forces everything too soon.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I prefer.
And then you went in too deep. Like, I think if you're dating someone, right, for 3 months, and then you realize they're a bit of a freak, and you're not living together, you're like, it's pretty low stakes to call it off, right? You can be like, okay, that's not really working.
But 3 months is a very low threshold. Like,
how long are you dating a freak for?
I
Well, like
wouldn't
someone
say
that you
I've dated a freak.
Sorry.
not for 3 months. I've not dated
Okay.
a freak.
No, but like something
of
that
freak
you're
are we
like,
talking about?
oh, like I'm sure you've been with someone, then something's happened, and you've been like, that's a relationship
Yeah.
deal breaker.
Yeah.
Right? But when you're dating and you've got your own separate homes, it's kind of easy to make a clean break.
Yeah, but like, how early are you saying people are moving in though?
Within 3 months.
Within 3 months.
Yeah, absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely.
That is probably a little
And
early,
then it's
but
harder to flee. And so I think
Yeah.
people just end up staying together longer because it's just too awkward to move out.
Right. But so why not get a housemate instead?
Oh, have you had housemates?
No.
I once lived with a guy that used to be too lazy to go to the bathroom that he would pee in water bottles
Oh gosh.
and then put lids
What?
on them. I'm not making this up. And we didn't find out until like one day I was just like moseying around the house and
Well,
he's
you
like,
just opened a cupboard and
no,
there's, like,
it was worse. He was like, oh, I've got doing my life admin day kind of thing.
what,
and I
pouring
was-
the wee down the
And
drain.
it was him just collecting all these bottles from his room
Oh
and
my
putting them in the bin. And I was like, I'm gonna have to call the police.
Yeah.
And then I had to obviously immediately inform my other housemates, and then we had to have a meeting without him,
Goodness.
and then have a meeting with him. And he was like, I don't really see what matters if it's happening in my room.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay.
See, I
but-
thought I had it bad having to teach a 31-year-old man how to do laundry and boil water.
What
for
do you mean?
pasta.
Like, it's a
what?
housemate,
A housemate.
and he'd never boiled water
Never.
before. Why?
No, I was like, hey, you can't cook. Let's make a pasta dish together. And so he got really excited and he was like, oh, great. And just grabbed the spaghetti and put it in the water that had not yet boiled. I was like, far out. We've got to rewind here.
He just had never cooked,
Cooked
a
never.
meal. And what was the other
Unbelievable.
skill that he didn't have?
Washing clothes.
Who
Washing
was
machine.
Was he living at home before?
Yeah, living at home
That's
and
a
living
parenting
it. Yeah,
problem.
yeah,
That is a
that's- yeah.
parenting. If you're not raising your kids to have like basic skills, there's something wrong with you.
So
But
Yeah.
how quickly would you move in? How quickly would you move in with someone now?
it probably depends how well you know the person. I don't like being on my own too much. And I do live on my
Really?
own. I've got 2 cats to keep me company. But,
Oh.
you know, I think it's nicer
Are you
living
part
with
of
someone
The male
than,
loneliness epidemic.
Well,
No, he's got the cats.
No, we've
Yeah,
got the
they've got the
cats.
cats,
I got the
yeah.
cats. So you
And
would
they're
move in
both
with someone
male.
quite quickly.
yeah, I would say so. But 3 months is probably a bit quick.
I don't
But
think
like-
you
but
date
after-
a loser for 3 months. I
No,
think you'd
like,
know.
I think
after-
you sort of
yeah.
after that
I've
point
dated
you're like,
losers
You
for
don't have
years.
time.
But 3 months is 3 months surely is a real crunch point. Like if you've not worked out by then, if you
Yeah.
think this has got some
No.
time in it,
I
Yeah,
think
get out.
No, I think I'm optimistic with people. And then
Really?
yeah, I've dated some real losers. And then after
what's the lowest common denominator here, Mary?
is it me? You're gonna say
Yes.
that's quite cruel.
Well, I'm just
I'm just-
saying.
I'm
No,
just-
I think it's
I'm
that
just
boys are
saying.
losers.
I think thank you, Liz.
Oh, hang
I
on
think
a minute.
That was,
Speak for yourself.
oh no, but like my question would be if you were dating a girl for 2 months and it was going really well.
Yeah.
And she was like, hey, I think we should move in together. Would that be a red flag or would that make a little heart pitter patter?
I'd probably want to have a look at the balance sheet first.
Oh, you want to check her debt or something?
it's always a financial decision, see?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course finances come in. Well, because you don't want to be left high and dry.
What's the
Like,
balance sheet?
what happens-
What do you ask? What documentation would you ask for?
Well, you want to know about income and outgoings.
Okay, you'd ask
and,
for salary.
debt and
Okay.
things
you won't
like
give
this.
up your own.
Because you
but-
don't want to end up in a position where, well, I don't give it out like on air, but you know, you don't want to
Alright,
end
we'll
up in
take
a
this offline.
position
Yeah.
where, you know, you move in together and then within a couple of months you go, oh, well, actually, I haven't got any income coming in this month, and then you start paying all the rent or the mortgage or whatever it is.
Would you like not date someone that's like say someone that's a barista who's probably a lower earner? Would that be like a turn off for you?
Not necessarily.
It would be a
no.
massive turn off for me. I couldn't date a barista.
Oh, really?
No, I couldn't.
So you just judge if
I
you're a
just
barista,
couldn't.
you're just a no-hoper in life. I'll pay $5.
No,
for
because
the
I'm not
coffee.
earning enough. If I was earning more, then that's fine.
Right.
But I think I just like there
So
can't be
you
two
think
of us.
you think love is dependent on your bank balance?
No, I think that if you could.
Because you go
No, but
you're-
happiness is.
you're swiping away, and you go barista. No good. Not earning enough
Unless
money.
he's like no, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. I need a provider.
Wow.
Well, the great news is you don't have to because you have become a nepo baby.
That's
in law.
Yeah, I'm coming to her baby-in-law. Yeah, no, it's good for me. But yeah, I would. But you would date a barista.
Why not?
Great. All right. Well, if you're a barista,
At least you'd get good coffee every day. I mean, come on. There's benefits.
all right. I think we've spent a long time on housing relationships. And Mary, as we said, you've got a lot of praise this week for coming out as a nepo baby-in-law.
Yes.
Out of the closet.
Caleb, you have revealed yourself as a closet environmentalist. What's that about?
So there's this story going around at the moment about Australian manufacturing and the fact that like only 3% of the clothes bought in Australia at the moment are made in Australia. Now you can't see them because they're under the desk, but I'm wearing Australian-made jeans and an Australian-made belt.
What brands are you repping?
It's R.M. Williams.
I
So-
do
but
love
anyway.
that you're wearing R.M. Williams. That's very on brand for
Yeah,
you.
of course.
Yeah.
But I make an effort to buy Australian-made because
Yeah.
I think it's good for the country and it's better quality and it lasts longer.
You're only spending 10% on rent. You've got the income.
I also make an effort to op shop where I can.
Chic.
I've got to, and see Australian made. This is the problem, right? Because they're saying if people don't buy the Australian made clothes, we won't have the capacity to make it in Australia anymore, and then it'll disappear and it'll all be fast fashion.
So
And
you're a
like,
woke shopper.
absolutely everyone will be buying everything on Temu and Shein or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is terrible.
Yeah.
In my closet at home,
Talk me through it.
I have.
Is it a walk-in situation?
No, it's not. It's not that big.
Okay.
I told you it was only a little one-bedder.
Oh,
just
very
a
humble.
very humble one-bedder looking at the harbour. But anyway.
Oh, you've had to get that in.
Oh, look,
The
just
harbour
there's
views.
small perks in life. But I've got I bought it in an op shop in Melbourne for $50. A Fletcher Jones jacket. And of course, Fletcher Jones used to all be made in Warrnambool. And you open, it's got the ticket inside of it with the date of manufacture on it. And the year is 1976.
Yeah.
And it is still
Good year.
in mint condition.
You would be tickled pink with that one.
Mint $50,
Yeah.
mint condition.
Yeah.
We used to make real things in this country that lasted, but people don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
They'd rather buy a $5 piece of crap online that they'll chuck out after one season. I think that's terrible. You should be buying clothes to last, good quality clothes to last, and particularly Australian made if you can.
Where
Yeah.
do you sit on this?
I'm
Liz?
not buying clothes from Temu.
No.
I think that's a hard line.
You're a professional lady. You can't be doing that.
Exactly. I do. Yeah, I think I'm not, I guess, super patriotic about buying Australian. Like, that's not where the kind of logic comes in.
You're not
But-
at the R.M. Williams store with Caleb on the weekend?
Look, I'll come along. Like,
I'm not paying,
that's
by the
not
way.
what it is consciously, but I think I do prefer to know where my clothes are coming from and to support a business that I know, I know what they're about and I know their story. So at the end of the day, yes, like I'm preferring to support Australian brands, but I'm not here like waving a flag thinking like Aussie, Aussie, Aussie every time I check out.
Which is exactly what's running through Caleb's head. I reckon.
100%. He's got the green and gold zinc, just
Yeah,
like ready to go.
You're going to go crazy
Shane
when the
Webb
Olympics
style.
arrives. That's
Oh,
going to be
yeah,
a
yeah,
big,
of course.
big couple of months for you.
Of course.
I spend a lot of money on clothes, and I do shop slow. There
Yep.
you go. So
Yep.
I buy like local stuff.
Yep.
But I will say, like, I don't know if I'm that. I also think I'm like not that environmentally conscious.
What do you mean? You're chucking a lot away, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I love to throw things out. I honestly,
In
it's
the
like
bin?
it's like a high for me.
What, like clothes?
Yeah, just love throwing shit
In
out.
You
wait,
don't,
are we
you don't at least take them to the Vinnies or something?
Nah, I just love to throw
Why are you
things
throwing
out.
in the
bin?
red bin?
Yeah,
Goodness me.
yeah. I
What
just
is
love.
wrong with
I love to throw things
Why?
out.
What?
It's such a
You're,
high.
you're just like, oh, landfill, yes.
Yes. No, I know it's wrong, but I love to chuck things.
Why?
And I hate the thing about dropping things off and giving them to charity, which is the right thing to do, is there's such a delayed scenario in that. Like they sit in your house in like a bag and then your men drop them off and they
You
sit in
need
your
to go
car.
on the day.
Just do it.
Nah, No, I just chuck it in the bin. And I have to wait for my boyfriend to go out because he's like a good person. So I have to do all my like secret chucking when he's gone.
Oh, so this is
Yeah.
like a vice of yours. So
Yeah.
some people smoke.
Yes.
Some people gamble.
I landfill.
Mary throws out
Mary
clothes.
I
Do
throw
you-
things out, yeah.
Do you put rubbish in your neighbours' bins?
Oh, all the time.
Wow.
I'm an absolute bandit. Yeah. I like have no rules when it comes to rubbish.
She
and
is brave.
Yeah, I am brave. I definitely treat rubbish like my dad, who's passed away, but when he was alive, he was like a crazy rubbish person. Like he'd be like, oh, I don't believe that rubbish is getting sorted. And he'd like throw different things in the wrong bins. And he was like an absolute rubbish cowboy. And I have taken after him.
But do you think like climate change is going to stuff the world? And
Oh, yeah. Like I think it's like obviously.
Right. So you believe all of this is going to happen.
Yes.
But you just don't give a toss about whether you contribute
I think
to
the
it.
thing is,
Well done.
sometimes our intellectual beliefs counter our actual actions. And I'm at least prepared to admit that I'm a complicated lady. I know it's wrong. If you see me, though, at like a little climate change rally, you mind your business and don't be telling the people I'm with. about
No,
it.
We're
I'll
all
be there with the
complicated
megaphone.
here.
But you'll be on the phone too.
I'll be like, Mary throws it all in the bin.
I do throw things in the bin. But I think it's because I just want it out. I just want it out. Maybe it's like some kind of like psychological, maybe I'm psychologically damaged.
Yeah.
But see, we're at like complete opposite ends of the spectrum here because
Yeah.
I think, whatever, climate change, get over it, right? But
But you're doing your
But
part.
you're
I
fashion
do
greenie.
I do my part. Well, even
Fashion greenie, I
all
like
my,
that.
my furniture, most of it is secondhand.
Oh, really?
I buy a lot of stuff at auction.
Did you buy shoes secondhand?
Shoes, I'd probably draw the
It's a
line.
bit
at.
gross, yeah.
I
don't think
know
you
if
should buy
can-
loungers secondhand. I don't know what people have been doing on them.
Nah, but you go and stay in a hotel on a bed, right?
Yeah, but I have to like
I mean,
not-
how many people do you reckon have shagged on
Yeah,
that
but
thing?
have you like met some of the people that you talk to on Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah, I have. They're all nuts.
Yes.
But these people also stay in hotels, you know.
I know, but like sometimes when you go, have you ever like gone and bought something off like Marketplace, and once you see the person, you're like, I don't want it anymore.
know what,
Well,
never
then
mind.
just walk
Yeah.
away. But
No, you can't because you're already like in the relationship. You
But-
have to like exchange goods.
like almost everything in my place has been thrown away at least 3 times, including me. And I think that's the way to go. I mean, why buy?
it's hard
why-
times
why
in the
go to-
harbourfront apartment.
Why go to some store, which I will not name, where they sell cheap furniture?
Okay,
When you could go, that'll disintegrate within 5
you've
years
kept
and go, oh, I
Kmart's
won't
name
buy
out of
that.
your mouth.
There are others as well. They do good stuff though. But why would you do that when you could go and buy secondhand a nice piece of solid
yeah.
furniture that will last another 100 years?
Why are you such a woke warrior?
And feel good about yourself for not contributing to climate change. Is
Exactly.
that the real payoff?
Yeah.
I just, I'm just trying to do my bit for the
I
world.
just feel like you are worried about climate change, hence your
No,
actions.
it's not about the climate change. I don't like litter, and I
You
don't
like litter.
I don't like the world not looking good, and I think all this crap, ends up in landfill and they're left on the side of the road and illegally dumped.
Oh, I
don't
love
like
a
it.
council pickup.
Oh
That's
yeah,
my-
they're great because you
yeah.
get stuff, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah,
but
yeah.
we are just so wasteful as a society when we have perfectly good stuff that's already been made and already exists and will last. Why buy the cheap fast stuff? Because I reckon you ultimately end up paying more.
Yeah.
Because you're buying so much more of it all the time. Invest once, hang on to it.
Okay, well, you've outwoked
Sounded
me.
nice.
Well, that's
You
right.
have.
You're not a true environmentalist. You want the world to burn, Mary.
Yeah.
Burn. I think that's a
Yeah.
bit much. I just really want to chuck things out.
Well, as Greta Thunberg once said, how dare you?
Well, we've really
What's that voice?
we've really
She
learned a
said
lot
it.
about each other, haven't we? We've got Caleb quoting Greta,
Yeah.
coming out as a woke king, and
Yeah.
Mary just
I
burning
mean,
down the world.
I think
Full
I'm
on
just like
greenie.
a bad person is the main conclusion that we've drawn.
I'm not going to allow us to end it there. I think you're. I won't say you're a bad person.
Oh,
we
thanks,
won't
it's
endorse that.
Semi-bad person.
But yeah,
Complicated.
I
Yeah.
think we should leave it there because this is getting into dangerous territory before anyone insults anyone any further.
I thought that was the point of this whole thing,
Yeah. All right, we'll see what we come up with next week. Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Pleasure.
Bye.